Federal spending is still rising despite $130 billion in savings from the Department of Government Efficiency. How do we stop this train? Last week, the Hamilton Project, which tracks government spending based on Treasury data, reported the federal government has spent $1.91 trillion so far in calendar 2025, which is approximately $100 billion more than it spent last year. Legacy media was positively giddy. MarketWatch crowd, quote, despite Elon Musk's promises, Trump's spending is on pace to surpass Biden levels. Of course, the truth is all of this is inherited from Washington's drunkest sailor, that very same Joe Biden. So about 60 of the $100 billion is inflation. Joe left us with over 3% inflation last year. Another 12 is interest on the debt, thanks to Biden giving us over $2 trillion in new debt last year. Still, that leaves Trump spending $28 billion more than Joe Biden. Of course, there's a very good reason for that. This is Joe Biden's budget. So the way budgets work in Washington is they start in September, meaning Trump doesn't even get a budget for another 6 months. We are still living in Joe Biden's world. That budget largely continued spending from the previous year, with the big exception of so-called entitlement programs, which had a projected $200 to $400 billion rise. Now, entitlements make up most of federal spending, and they include good things like Social Security and Medicare, but also bad things like industrial fraud and huge chunks of the NGO and migrant industrial complex. Many of those are also frauds. These are where DOGE is focusing cuts, and it is where legacy media is trying to score points, characterizing anti-fraud as forcing grandma to eat cat food. Meanwhile, most of DOGE that has been done isn't showing up yet. So many of the canceled contracts were multi-month or even multi-year, meaning the savings are coming. Thousands of laid-off federal workers are still getting paid. They got severance or voluntary buyouts can actually cost more. Meanwhile, the district judges who apparently outrank the democratically elected president keep forcing spending that Trump tries to cut. Even migrant welfare is partly being rerouted to deportations, which cost money and, again, offer future savings but are not showing up yet. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained.com. In recent videos, I've talked about the paper recession you get from reductions in government spending. That's not showing up yet, mostly because we're still coasting on Joe Biden's fumes. With the possible exception of Metro Washington, D.C., which is a parasite masquerading as a city, and some forward-looking economic numbers like consumer spending or stock markets where people are anticipating the future. Still, DOGE reports over $130 billion in cuts, which will be unfolding as the year progresses, and especially if we get a congressional budget come September that actually does lock in the savings. Elon is doing everything he can, Trump's doing everything he can, but serious reductions are going to come down to Congress, who has to decide, do they actually hand savings back to the people, or do they revert to character and find some way to respend every last dime? In the meantime, and until Congress does grow a spine, spending will keep going up, and our nation's bankruptcy will keep getting closer. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.